Good morning, everybody. Bob Wilson, poet, singer, songwriter in San Antonio, Texas. Since 1968. This is my 183rd, no, excuse me, 187th CD. I've already become famous pretty soon. I'm 70 years old already. First of all, this is 4th of July. My Bob Wilson studio, my little bedroom, and it's 4th of July, 2021. I think the service of everyone who's been in the military all through the years. This song's for the world. Thank my dad, Sergeant Chester Wilson, a full-blooded Cherokee Indian. He was in World War II. He was with George Patton, and he was captured by the Nazis. And he was in a Nazi concentration camp. When he came back, he was 95 pounds and 26 years old. And my late dad, he died at 73 years old. My late brother, Ken Wilson, Sergeant Ken Wilson, in the United States Army. He was in Vietnam. He was in the helicopters that were transferring the dead and the wounded American soldiers out of the battlefield. He was wounded also. And he passed away, unfortunately, at 46 years old. And this is for all the military people. The name of this is called Who is Audie Murphy? I've always heard of Audie Murphy. I'm retired now. I'm one of those crazy people that plan to retirement at 29 years old, stay at a job 30 years, and retire at 59. No, that's what I did. I drove a city bus, but I also been in real estate, security, I've done many businesses, rental properties. I've done a lot of things, but my main thing was driving a city bus for 30 years. Who was Audie Murphy? Well, let's start from the very beginning. People who don't know, Audie Murphy was born in, I believe, June 20th. Now, these facts, remember, I'm 70, so these are what I've heard over the years, and they kind of differ in some of the things I hear. It was born in, I believe, it was June 20th, in 1925 in Kingston, Texas, which is near Dallas, Texas. His father abandoned them. They were sharecroppers. They were living in a rent house, and what I understand, there was 12 kids. The sister was the oldest. She moved away and had children, and then Audie was second. And what I understand, they had 10 brothers and sisters. The mom passed away when he was 12 years old. He quit. He was a great shot. He used to shoot rabbits and small game where they have something to eat. He quit school at 12 years old. Took care of the kids for a couple of years. His neighbor, after Pearl Harbor and everything, his neighbor was telling him, you should go in the service. He says, well, I don't want to abandon my brothers and sisters. I have 10 brothers and sisters, and it varies and things. And he said, you can do more with your Army pay. So he convinced him. He said, yeah. So there's different things. Some people say that he was 17 and his older sister signed for him. Other people say he was 18 when he came into the Army. Okay, he went to the Army. Everyone, let me tell you right now, everyone in the world should, if you want to know the true Audie Murphy, go on YouTube. Audie Murphy, What's Your Line in 1955, and he's very shy, he's very polite, and he has a southern accent in real life, but he doesn't use those in his movies, his 44 movies. Get back to the story here, it's long here. So, he went to the Marines. The Marines said, I mean, you're 5'5", you're underweight, we build men, but we need something to work with. The Navy said, no way, try the Army. So he got into the Army. He went on the trip going, he went to 7 campaigns in World War II. On the trip over there, he was the acting sergeant, and he got seasick because he's never had shots in his life. There were the 7 campaigns. Now, he was the most decorated soldier in World War II, and maybe in history. But here's the thing, he's not a bragger. The other people, the other soldiers around him, would vouch for him because he would. In fact, they kept. He was taking command whenever the officer, the lieutenant or captain was killed in combat. He would take charge, but he refused some commissions because he's in the Texas outfit. And so the day he died, he told people, "I'm from Texas." He was proud where he came from. I like that. I like that. He's a Texas farm boy. Okay, and finally, in the middle, during his thing, they said, "Hey, we're going to waive the rights." Because usually when you take a commission, you got to change to another company. Says, "Okay, I'm going to give you the lieutenant commission, but you have to stay with your Texas outfit." So that's what he did. Okay. He showed in the first. Everyone should see the movie Hell and Back. Okay, Hell and Back. He wrote the best-selling book in 1950 about his thing. In 1955, the Hollywood said, "We want to make the movie," and Audie said, "We have to make it authentic. Well, we can't put a lot of cuts and gory stuff in there." And he says, and Audie wasn't really very happy. He wasn't happy with the ending on it, and but he did the best they could to make it authentic. And of course, it was a top seller from 1955, the most sold movie in the United States from 1955 to 1975. Jaws. Jaws knocked him out, but everyone should rent the video or something to show your kids. It's not real. It just shows raw courage. It's not a lot of killing and stuff, but they made it PG, for the whole family, and people should see what a true American was. Okay, when he became at 19, he became the most decorated soldier in World War II. From France and Belgium. He knocked out 6 Nazi tanks by himself. He killed, wounded, or captured 240 Nazi enemies by himself, saving hundreds of American lives. Okay, when he came back from the war, he was only 19 years old. Okay, he married an actress, Wanda Hendricks. Didn't last very long. From 49 to 51. In 51, he met the love of his life, Pamela Archer, I believe. Come on, give me. I'm 70. Archer never married. They had 2 boys. One of the boys looked like him. He's in 44 movies. Some of them he was part owner of the movie. He also raised racing horses, thoroughbreds. But his problem was, although as nice as he was, I don't think he drank very much or smoked very much. In the movies, he doesn't do any of that stuff. He was not a good businessman. He lost money on horse races. I think some South American oil deal or something. He lost money, so it wasn't that good for all the movies that he made. 44 movies. Some of them he was part owner in. If you look at his movie, I suggest everyone should see what a hero is. And he just plays himself. Whether he's a good guy or the bad guy, you're always on for his side. But some of them say something like something Murphy, which means he was part owner of that movie. Okay. Let's see what else. Took me 5 years to figure all this stuff out. Okay. So when he was low on money, and because everybody was smoking and drinking in those days, back in the 60s and everything, and the cigarette company said, "Hey, we want you to make a cigarette and cigarette commercials and beer commercials, get the younger kids hooked on alcohol and tobacco." And he wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He would not do it. He didn't do anything to hurt the youth. In fact, all the medals. Oh yeah, they offered him. They told him, he took every educational video, every educational course in the Army there was, and they told him, at the end of the war, we're going to send you to West Point. And he was shot 3 times, and it says that in the movie. In the movie Hell and Back, it shows he only has 4 or 5 younger brothers and sisters, but in real life, what I heard, he had 10, and his wounds kept him out of West Point. But he started making movies. He owned a horse ranch, watch his movies. I love Audie Murphy movies. I watch. They only show 10 or 15 on TV. It's made 44. I love Audie Murphy movies. Sadly, at 45 years old, Audie, the 5 other people on the plane near Roll Oak. That's actually where Andy Griffith passed away. He had a home. He had a home. Roll Oaks. I think it's North Carolina, around there. I had to travel. Okay, but it's crazy because they chartered a private plane. It was him, his attorney. There was 5 others with him, and a rainstorm. And I'm a professional driver for 30 years driving a city bus, 6 years driving a taxi, driving real estate, hauling people around for 6 years. I mean, it was bad weather, and the pilot ran into a mountain, killed all of them. Oh, it's horrible. In fact, the place where Audie died at 45 years old in 1971, the place where the plane crash was, they have a trail going up there now. He was buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Oh, he also got the Medal of Honor, Congressional Medal of Honor, and which he gets a pension for the rest of his life on that. Okay, he was buried at Arlington National Cemetery. He was the second most viewed gravesite at Arlington National, the 1,100 acres at Arlington National Cemetery next to John F. Kennedy. And the people who don't know this, I'm Robert D. Wilson. I was named after Robert E. Lee. I wasn't for slavery at all, but I was named after Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee owned the Arlington National. He owned that plantation, 1,100 acres. When the Yankees in the Civil War invaded it, and Robert Lee's wife was there, she was crippled. They took her to Richmond and had a black soldier watching her, and the Yankees were so mad they were burying Yankee soldiers 200 feet from his back door. So after the war, Robert Lee says, "Hey, I want my 1,100 acre plantation back." "Well, you owe a lot of money in taxes." "I don't have any money." "Well, the government just took your thing." They didn't give him a penny for his. Robert Lee became a school teacher after the war. When he passed away about 20 years later, his family, his heirs through court finally won. But I mean, Robert Lee and his wife passed on already, and he finally repaid them what the 1,100 acres were worth. But they had a clause. They didn't want Confederate soldiers over there. I heard there's less than 500 Confederate soldiers at Arlington National Cemetery. You have to either be a Yankee or I'm neutral in the war. I'm giving the facts, and you have to be a Yankee, or you have to be a president or something to be in Arlington National Cemetery. That's another story. But real fast here, who was Audie Murphy? Everyone in the world should look at Audie Murphy movies. Should look at the movie Helen back in 1955. It's a watered down version of his thing because it's not a lot of blood and gore. Who was Audie Murphy? Audie Murphy was a poor farm boy who loved to be from Texas. Most of his movies, they even called him Little Texas. In that movie, the Helen back, they called him Little Texas. And almost every movie he's in, he says he's from Texas. He's proud to be from Texas. And who was he? He was a true American. He went to war at either 17 or 18, whatever it was. He got a congressional medal of honor at 19. He put his life on the line. He saved hundreds of Allied soldiers, American, English. He would put himself in front of. There was a burning tank in the movie, where there's a burning tank and a whole. There was like 100 Nazis coming with tanks. And it's a true story. He got on top of the burning tank with a 50 caliber machine gun. It was shooting him down, and that's where he got shot in the hip. He was courageous. He was a farm boy who tried to take care of his 10 brothers and sisters. He gave most of his money in World War II. There was no GI Bill. There was no free college. There was none of this free like today. Well, I'm not knocking nothing, but he did it. He truly loved his country. He refused to take, even when he was low on cash, do cigarettes and beer commercials. His medals, all his medals, he gave away. He gave all his medals from World War II away. He says, the heroes are the ones who died on the battlefield, not the ones who lived. I got all Audie Murphy movies. Most of them, some of them I didn't like. Me being American Indian, I don't like the one. We don't want to get into the American Indian thing. Real fast here, since I'll throw in my little 2 cents. I'm part Cherokee Indian. In 1492, there was 160 million American Indians. Today there's 5 million. 155 million American Indians were killed, slaughtered, raped, murdered. Custer's last stand, they found gold up there where Little Boy Bighorn was, and he sent Custer to go over there and kill the women and children to wipe them out, and we broke the treaty. In 1830, we had all the land. The Cherokee and everybody else, the 60,000 American Indians had the land around Georgia, Kentucky, Virginia. That was Indian lands. But the president and his buddies said, hey, let's break the treaty, get these Indians out of here. We can go to Africa and get 12 million African slaves, bring them over here, we can have cotton fields. So the Civil War, after that was a Civil War, and I'm glad the Civil War, we shouldn't slave anybody. But what really upsets me is the treatment of the American Indian was horrible. Well, we put them on reservations. I'd say everyone, I've never been to one, but I've heard about it. Go to a reservation, Indian reservation, and see how horrible the American Indians were treated. Well, that's all it is. Audie Murphy was a true American who fought in World War II. At 12 years old, was supporting his 10 brothers and sisters who volunteered to go into the Army, who was rejected by the Marines and the Navy. They wanted to get him out of the combat thing, and they said it was a mistake. He was too small. He was like 100 pounds or something, and 5'5". He says, you couldn't hold up in combat. And he says, I want combat. He's killed, captured 240 Nazi enemy and saved hundreds of Americans' lives. He took out 6 tanks by himself, raw courage. He'd put his life in front of his thing, but refused to brag about himself. Refused to take a commission. The other people and the other soldiers put in words for him because he's not a bragger. And if you watch in his movies, whether he's a good guy or the bad guy, he's not a bragger. Well, happy 4th of July 2021, and my coffee just got cold trying to tell my story here, and I'm glad at 70 years old. Thank you. Most of my family passed away. My father, World War II veteran, passed away. My brother, Vietnam veteran, passed away. My mom, my great mom, a Czechoslovakian lady, passed away. My other brother Wayne, passed away, and just at 70 years old, let me tell all the kids in the world, when you hit 70 like me, and you look around, most of your friends and family are gone. Bob Wilson Studios, have a nice day, and I love America, and I think songs should say the truth. Peace out.